We have big news. We have exciting news for you. Tell them what it is, Serena.
We are super excited to announce that we are starting our first membership this January 2024.
Yay! Membership.
So we're excited to let you know that we will be hosting a monthly membership where when you join, you will be
With us live in a Zoom room once a month for a workshop like we just hosted. It's going to be a workshop like that, one topic each month, a different topic. You might even help us come up with the following month's topic from inside our membership. Super excited to meet you. It was so fun meeting a few of you in our inaugural workshop. So we're really looking forward to that.
And when you are a member, you will also be receiving a monthly newsletter where I'm going to be a little more intimate and I'll be sharing the things that are working and the things that aren't working for me.
Yeah, like taking a tool that you've learned from the podcast and how you're implementing it and how well that worked, or maybe if it didn't work. And then Amma can put in my 2 bits worth. We'll see how that goes. But a membership newsletter and a membership live Zoom room workshop starting in January 2024. Can sign up through our Patreon link in the show notes. Yeah.
Yes, everything will be in the show notes, and we can't wait to see you there, listeners.
We can't wait. Yay.
Hey, mamas. Thanks for tuning in to this week's episode. And today we're bringing you a throwback from last springtime where we had this conversation about springtime fun. So in this episode, you will get some motivation for getting outdoors, as well as the benefits we reap as parents and for our kids when we do get outside, and some advice and what it looks like when we do follow our kids' leads when we are going on these nature walks. And there's a million benefits that we reap when getting outside. And unfortunately, for our busy lives, it's not a priority. So we just wanted to come bring this conversation to you and remind you why it is so important. So thanks for tuning in, and we hope you enjoy it. Happy spring.
Hey, Mama, welcome to the Nurturing Parent Podcast. Do you want to end the constant battles for bath time? Do you find yourself emotionally exhausted at the end of the day? Do you wake up with big hopes for a smooth day of fun with your little ones, only to face an early morning meltdown because you peeled their banana the wrong way?
Silly you.
Silly you.
Hey, I'm Serena. I'm a mama of 2 little ones, and as a new mama, I constantly questioned myself. I wanted to make sure I was raising respectful kids while also building a strong bond with them. But I discovered that I had to unlearn my ideas that punishment was the way. With Amalisa's encouragement, I've been practicing a respectful and gentle parenting approach, which is strengthening our bond as a family.
And hi, I'm Amalisa. Amma means grandmother in Icelandic. I am a mama and an amma. And I have over 40 years of experience in childcare and parent coaching. And I am so excited to share the knowledge I've gained over these years with you.
Together in this podcast, each week we will explore some easy to implement skills you can add to your parenting tool belt to help you create a happy, thriving family.
I'm super excited to talk to you today because getting children outdoors, and especially getting children out into nature, even if it's little bits of grass beside the sidewalk or a playground if you live in an urban area, anywhere where plants grow and bugs crawl and worms wiggle.
The days get longer, there's more sun. Like you said, you see the grass growing, you see buds coming up, and it's so exciting. It's so beautiful. It's so colorful.
And new life is emerging all around us, whether we are actually aware of that or not. It is at the beginning of the new life cycle for plants, for many, many animals. goats and sheep and horses and cows, and they're giving birth in the spring primarily. That's when a lot of, and deer. I live in the country, and we have a lot of wild deer around us, and later, a little bit later in the spring is when we'll start seeing the fawns with their mamas coming out. But I also wanted to just say, before we jump into being outside with our children in the springtime, I want to encourage you, all you parents out there listening in, to get outside all year long. So there's a
Yes.
few really great quotes that I love, and one says something. I'm just going to paraphrase because I don't have it in front of me. There's no such thing as bad weather, just bad clothing choices.
Mm.
So I am outside. I do childcare for my day job. And because of the pandemic, and because I am also immune compromised, I am only seeing people out of doors these last 2 whole years. And so for my childcare job, I set up a covered area where we can be when we're in the fall, winter, spring, and it's rainy or snowy even. But we just bundle up. I bought myself a big, long, warm winter coat. I wear hats and scarves and gloves, and I have even leg warmers to keep the lower parts of my legs even warmer. And then my coat comes down almost, so I'm covered
Yeah.
from head to foot.
Yes.
And I'm pretty okay. Sometimes I get a bit chilly, and we do have a heater in our covered area. That we can cozy up and read stories around, but it's open air. Of course, it's just covered from the extreme elements. But I encourage you, parents, to get outside with your children, even if it's just for a few minutes. One of my favorite things, I'm going to share this. This is a quote from my oldest grandson. When he was 2 or 3, he was at my house a lot. And it was, we woke up together that morning, got dressed. I had a wood fire to keep my house warm. And we're all had our breakfast and everything. And it's actually starting to like pour down with rain. I live on the west coast of Canada, and it's sometimes referred to as the wet coast because we get a lot of rain. It's like a rainforest where I live. Excuse me. And it was starting to pour down rain. Well, one of the things we did every single day that I spent with my grandson in his earlier life was we went outside and we went for walks. And he said to me, "Amma, can we go for our walk now?" And I said, "Oh, honey, it is pouring rain." Like it was, when I say it's pouring rain, you guys got to know it's thundering down. Like it is, you can hardly talk because it's so loud on the roof, rain, right?
Wow.
It's pouring. And he's like, "But Emma, rain is fun." And he's just like
Aw.
so excited to go outside in the rain. And I looked at him and I was like, "You are absolutely right. Rain is fun." And so we got bundled up in our rain gear and out we went. And we had fun. I have a long driveway where I live in the country. It's a dirt driveway. And when it rains really, really hard, sometimes there's a ditch off the side of the driveway, but water runs down the driveway, and it's like a little, almost like a creek, although you don't want it to be a little tiny stream for a little toddler. It's like, look, it's a river. And so then he's like, we bring sometimes our little shovels and tools to play in the water. And so he'll redirect the stream, because I say, we cannot have a stream on the driveway. It'll, erode the driveway away. Can you help Emma? And we'll dig it off to go into the ditch. So we would spend the next hour sometimes just like redirecting the water and making the water go a different way. And what that is, there's so much just in that. So much learning. Number one, it's beautiful outside. It doesn't matter what the weather's doing. Number two, there are problems that you get to see and deal with that you would never get inside the house.
Mm-hmm.
Problems arise. There's water running down the driveway. We need to move the water to get it off into the ditch. So, there's problem solving. What I like to tell you, parents, is being outside with children and having children be outside, they will grow in intellectual development, definitely physical development, and also their emotional well-being. There's growth and development in all areas for us when we spend time outside. So right there was a problem solving opportunity that he would never have experienced had he not been outside in the rain.
Yeah.
What do we do with the rain that's washing Emma's driveway out? We need to make the water go somewhere else. And, it was probably actually him who said, I know, let's dig, and that day we went back and got the shovels. And then after that, he would want to go out in the rain, and his younger brother, now let's go make sure there's no water on Emma's driveway, so then there's that whole intellectual piece of not only the problem solving, but also their creativity and their ways of being with other humans out in the world, so there's a human interaction element. So social development is also happening. Whereabouts do you go? I know you live, Serena, in an urban area, like a city or town, and I live in the country. So it's kind of a neat conversation to have from our two different perspectives.
Yeah, it's funny when you say you can go see the horses and the goats and stuff, because you don't really see that here.
Yeah.
But in the spring, one thing that I always saw with my grandpa was we'd see the geese and then their little baby, the goslings right behind them. And now I'm showing that to my daughter, so that's beautiful. And we also have bunnies, so you see the little baby bunnies.
Nice.
And that's adorable. But also, when I was growing up, there was this one big tree in front of my grandparents' house. It blooms, and it's a huge pink tree, and it's so beautiful. And that just was always my spring memory, is just seeing that tree.
My Emma's house, there was a huge plum tree, massive plum tree, and it had little white blossoms. And the smell, like, I would love to find out what kind of plum that was, because I want to plant one of those trees at my place, because the smell was heavenly.
Yeah.
And I just remember that's one of the things too, the intellectual development that is available for our children when we're out of doors. When we're inside, yeah, there's going to be some smells, but they're going to be normal, what mom's cooking or dad's cooking, or, farts. And if you have toddlers or preschoolers, they're going to want to talk about those kind of smells too. So just prepare yourselves. Most children will at some point. And if you don't like that kind of talk, again, my suggestion is just ignore it. If you play into it and have a big reaction, you'll get a lot more of that talk than you want. I digress. But when you get out of doors, all your senses, all our senses come alive. Our children's senses come alive. You see so many colors. And of course, when you're inside, it's always the same. Everything looks the same. It's either messy or it's clean, but things are in certain places or, scattered around or whatever. But when you're outside, you never know what you're going to see. So it sparks our curiosity. It sparks our creativity. It sparks wonder. Like, that's one of my things. If we can be outside with children and let them lead us, their innate sense of wonder can reignite our sense of wonder, even if our sense of wonder got squashed by parents who didn't understand or schools who put us in classrooms and boxes and writing on paper. Oh my goodness, get outside and reignite your sense of wonder. I went for a walk yesterday where I live, out the driveway. All I got as far as out the driveway, because I'm stopping at every tree and looking, are your buds coming out? Oh, look, look, your leaves are starting to come out. That was on the willow trees. And then further at the end of the driveway, there is a blossoming tree. The earliest blossoming tree. There's lots on this property, but that one was the earliest when I lived here last spring. And I saw one blossom yesterday. I was so excited. There it's coming. And so when you're outside, you see, so many details, all the different colors. You see vast distances. You see right up close what's right here beside you. You take a walk with a child. If there is a bug on the ground, the little toddlers, they will see it and they will want to stop and look at it. And I encourage you to stop and be in the wonder with your children.
Getting them out there and seeing it and being with it, they grow an appreciation for other living things.
There's something known as nature deficit disorder in our current world. And that is because so many children are spending 90+% of their time indoors. Now, we have to remember our children are mammals. Now, I want you to think about if you've ever seen, for those of you lucky enough to live somewhere where you can go, and some cities do have what we call petting zoos, where you can go and see goats or sheep, or sometimes there's donkeys or different smaller animals with their babies. In one city near me, there is a petting zoo, and you can go right in the fenced in area, a whole bunch, like it's a big area, and there's lots and lots of goats with their babies, and a whole bunch of people can go in all at the same time. It's just this big open corralled area, and you can sit on the logs, and the little baby goats will jump up right onto your kids' laps and stuff. It's so fun. But if you've ever been lucky enough to see baby goats or lambs, or like you said, the bunnies, the mammals, you will notice that what those babies do is they run and they jump and they chase and they play and they do somersaults and they roll around and they toss and turn and they tussle with each other. And then they typically come back to mama. They nurse a little, get a little nourishment, and then typically they have a nap. And then what do? They wake up and they do it all over again. So I love to point out to us humans that we are mammals. This is what our young need to be doing. This is what we are actually born to do. When we are little children, we are meant to be playing outdoors where we can run and jump and climb and yell and play. That's what we should be doing.
And it's so important. And now in society, it's kind of like both parents are working. There's never enough time. Everybody's rushing to get here and there. And we don't prioritize getting out. I know I didn't. And I'm seeing that now. And I want to make a daily walk a priority because even the effects of just touching the sunlight and how that boosts your energy and your happiness and avoid depression. And it's also a little dangerous to just, depends where you live, but kids don't run around outside like they used to before. They could just go outside and run around with their friends, run around the block. And now it's not really the same. So us as parents, we have to kind of be there watching them.
Yeah, you have to make more of an effort. Yeah.
And it's an important effort. And I think it should be a priority for everybody to get outside.
It is vitally important. We are mammals. We are a form of animal. We think that we are separate from nature, but we are actually part of nature. I know that's mind-blowing. But the thing is, there is so much higher rates of childhood, very young childhood, anxiety, depression, ADHD, and those kinds of other symptomatic problems that parents go to their doctors and they get medicine for. And I'm not saying that all medication for children is bad, but what I will tell you is that they are now around the world, in Canada, in the US, and in other countries that I know of, in Great Britain and lots of different countries. Doctors are starting to prescribe nature to adults and children as a remedy. So why don't we start with thank you for being aware of that, Serena, with a mama of an almost 2-year-old, that you're going to make that a daily priority. You are giving the gift of health and well-being to your child. You are also giving yourself the gift of rediscovering your own wonder, because when you go for walks with that toddler, she will be in awe of the flowers that are blooming in the ground, the bugs that are crawling, the wind that's making a sound in the leaves. Like, there's so much out there for us to discover. We grow in, like, there it is, our mental health. And as adults, many of you will know this to be true. If you're feeling sad about something or upset about something, angry about something, depressed, even, whatever it is, you make yourself, sometimes you have to really make yourself do it. Put on your shoes, put on your coat, get outside. I don't care if it's raining, put a hat on, get outside. Your mood can lift within minutes, right? They say 20 minutes is a really good minimum to be outside. So if you can only manage a 20-minute walk with your child, please do it. So it can lessen anxiety and depression. It can alleviate stress.
Boost your immunity.
Totally boosts your immunity. Raises up our vitamin D levels. We get our vitamin D from the sun. The vitamin D deficit that so many of us are also living with adds greatly to the problem of depression especially during the winter months when people aren't going out as much. But on days when the sun is shining, or even the sun can give you vitamin D even through a cloud cover. Doesn't have to be bright, burning hot sun. Not only do our children have more anxiety and depression, but we do too.
Mm-hmm.
Adults do. There's so much depression. And one really interesting thing to think about is if you tend to spend a lot of time in front of your screens, which is very common, like hugely common now, whether you're binging out on Netflix or you're playing games on there, or you're scrolling through your social media, whatever it is, screen time causes a disconnect. We think we're connecting to other humans, especially if we're on social media, but we're not. We are connecting with a screen. We're using our visual sense only, maybe sometimes audio sense, our hearing, if we're listening, watching a show or whatever, or watching a video. But, there's such a disconnect. And I really believe that the disconnect is what's causing the depression to skyrocket in our world right now.
Also, it's like you always need to be stimulated. And they say the benefits of meditation is most of what causes illnesses is inflammation. And meditating reduces inflammation. And going out into nature, going for a walk without knowing, you're kind of meditating, because
when I go for walks in nature, I actually am meditating. What meditation is getting out of the busy brain, the brain that's constantly worrying or stressing or thinking or trying to figure out or trying to think about, why did I say that to my husband? Or what should I be doing tomorrow? Or, oh my gosh, I need these groceries. Like, constant. It doesn't have to be big, earth-shattering, difficult things that people are going through, but there's a constant chatter in our brain. That's a great piece to bring in, Serena, is that meditation aspect. When I go for walks, there's actually something called a walking meditation.
Yeah.
And I actually want to teach it to people because it's just part of my daily life now. And walking in nature, if I feel my brain getting active and busy again, I pull it back to where am I right now? And I either focus on my physical senses. So there's my feet stepping on the ground. 1 step, 2 step, 3 step, 4 step. And that calms the thinking brain and quiets it. So all I'm now aware of is my feet stepping on the ground. Sometimes I choose one of my senses, my sense of sight. It's the easiest one, obviously, because you're looking all around. When I choose my sense of sight, then I go, look, oh my gosh, look at this bud. It's a little more red than it was yesterday. And tomorrow, I wonder if it will be opening up a little more. Like right now, it's just this bursting open. And I just go right into the moment. And there's such a relaxation that comes, a calming, but also interestingly, a simultaneous uplifting. So it uplifts our spirits and it calms our stress simultaneously, right? And another really interesting thing is thinking of our children, but also ourselves, if you're indoors, you can just feel kind of that exhausted feeling, that fatigue. It's like, oh, I'm just so tired all the time. Why am I tired all the time? Go outside, get some fresh air and get some exercise, and you will actually increase your energy level. And so your children's energy. And you might go, no, I don't want more energy from my kids. Oh, but one of the things I love to say is when parents say to me, the kids are just bouncing off the walls. What do I do? What do I do? I say, take them outside where there are no walls. When the kids are bouncing off the walls, it's a really clear indication that they need to be where there are no walls. Get them outside. You will see kids everywhere they go, from toddlers all the way up to teenagers. If there's a curb on the roadside or, a raised area, they will walk on it and practice balance. They're not consciously going, oh, I should practice balancing. They just practice their balancing every opportunity they get. If there's a tree, that they will try to climb it. If there's a stump, they'll climb up and jump off it. They're running and jumping and racing and playing and climbing. And that gives them, it reduces their fatigue and it gives them a more fulfilling kind of energy. The energy that they have where they're bouncing off the walls, that's a cooped up energy. And here's the other thing is learning the names of not only the animals that you see, the wild animals or the domesticated animals that you see around you, but the plants and the birds. When we know the name of a plant or the plants around us, like I know a lot of the plants that grow around me by name. I know if they have medicinal properties. I know if they're edible. I know if they're poisonous. But I know their names. And it's likened to if you go into a room of people that you don't know. If something happens to one of those people, like, somebody falls down and they're having a heart attack and the ambulance has to come in, you might feel a little something. But if you know that that person's name is Joyce and she has these children and this is what she does in her, like if you know that person and they fall down, you are going to have a bigger response. You are going to really want Joyce to be okay, right? It's the same with nature.
Wow.
When we know the name of the plants and, growing around us and animals living near us, we want to help them. That's how we are growing the stewards of the earth.
You post a picture of nature every morning.
Yes.
Every morning you say
Come
hello
and
to the
follow
world.
me.
Yes, follow Alma because she's always showing me different plants, and not me, everybody that follows
everybody
her. Yeah, I think you were collecting seeds with the kid that you take care of.
Yes.
And so I had seen a picture of that, and then I was walking along the street and I was like, oh look, it's a seed like Alma. And I showed my daughter and it was really funny. And no, that's very true. When you know something and you understand it, you form an attachment, and yes, you protect it. And
Yeah, that's a
That's
beautiful
beautiful.
example just
Yeah.
from seeing my photograph,
Mhm.
talking about gathering seeds together in the fall when the plants put out their seeds.
Yeah.
And then they all sleep and rest in the winter, or maybe the seeds start germinating under the ground. In late winter, they certainly start germinating. And then now at this time of year, they're starting to sprout up. So that's a beautiful example that you even gain some interest and some care about that particular plant that you recognize from my photograph. I love that.
Oh, you're a huge influence over here, Alma.
Oh, well, I am honored.
Yes,
I'm
I always
honored.
think about how you get out in the winter and you're in Canada and you're outside every single day. And I'm like, I need to get outside. And sometimes I'm home and I'm like, there's nothing to do. And there is always something to do. You can always go outside. And
And
that,
outside, there is always something. You don't have to entertain your children as much,
mm-hmm,
nearly at all, if when you are outside. They will run and find. I remember watching a mom and her toddler walk to a park, a playground. And the mama thought they should get to the playground because they were going to the playground. And I was out walking my dog actually. And this was uh, I overheard the mom and the little girl stopped and she picked. I looked to see it was a dandelion. So she stopped. She goes, oh, pretty flower. She could hardly talk. She was this little toddler. And but she wanted to get this flower. And so it was a dandelion. So her mom let her pick the dandelion, but her mom's holding her hand and she's like tugging her. Come on, let's go to the playground. Let's go. Well, 2 steps later, there's another dandelion. Guess what? The toddler wants to pick dandelions are beautiful. They look like a little miniature sun. And just so you know, they are edible and they are incredibly medicinal.
oh, wow.
They are amazing. I One of my pet peeves is people poisoning the dandelions so they have only grass growing. Number one, it's bad for the bees. If we lose the bees on this planet, we won't have any food.
We'll lose the
So leave
planet.
the dandelions. Leave the dandelions, and let your children pick them. And then they pick them when the in the later in the summer when they have the seeds and blowing the seeds. They're helping new dandelions grow. It's beautiful. Anyway, this mom kept trying to drag her toddler away from picking the dandelions just because they, in mama's mind, were going to the playground.
Mm-hmm.
She had a destination in her head, and that's where we're going. When I want to share with you, and I want to encourage you, Serena, and all you parents out there, when you go for a walk with your little ones, just go for a walk. You might have the playground in mind. And if you don't talk about going to the playground, sometimes when I go for a walk with little ones, we get to the end of the driveway and we've been outside for an hour. Like it's a long driveway, but I mean, honestly, sometimes we go 4 times that far. But sometimes there's so much that catches their eye that they're interested in. After a rain, there's worms wiggling everywhere, and just stopping to look at every single worm. You know, look, stop, look. What is so curious about this worm for this 2-year-old? It's beautiful. So I encourage you to just follow your child's lead. And if they were expecting that you would get to the park or the playground, and you're going to have to deal with their disappointment if they don't get there because they're stopping and picking every dandelion, then you might have to say to them at some point, do you think today's walk should just be about watching the worms or picking the dandelions? Or do you really want to go to the playground? Because if you really want to get to the playground, then we should go now so we have enough time to play there before we need to come back and start getting supper ready.
Mm-hmm.
So you can give them that choice. But sometimes, I mean, most of the time, I just don't say that we're going anywhere. We're just going out. And then we just go and we see what there is to explore. One morning, it was like the grass was all frosty. And we just
Mm.
were so mesmerized, my little guy that I look after these days, so mesmerized by how beautiful the frost is on the leaves, on the grass, and on the leaves that are still fallen from the autumn. And then I was like, oh, if there's frost, there might be frozen puddles. And so then instead of splashing in the puddles, he got to crunch in the puddles. And that was thrilling, So the world is a wonderful, huge and wonderful place. So please make a point of getting outside almost every single day and every single day if you possibly can. And you can.
And you just have to
priority.
Make it a priority and dress for it.
Dress for it. And you, moms and dads, you and grandparents, you will feel better. You will notice. You will feel better.
All right. We can go on forever about this.
We can. And we probably will have another episode or two along the way about the importance of being out in nature. But thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you and happy spring.
Happy spring.
Hey, so I love this episode and I just wanted to share my 3 takeaways, which are: number 1, getting outside lifts and alleviates anxiety and depression. So if you as a parent are experiencing these things or you notice it in your kids, getting outside is a simple solution. Number 2, getting outside encourages intellectual development, creativity, and problem solving. So instead of staying inside and thinking of activities that you can do with your kids, all you really have to do is go outside and just experience nature, and there are so many lessons built in with that. And then number 3, getting outside can help your kids form a relationship and attachment, which will help them learn to protect their environment, which is something that we are drifting far from in this day and age, and we need to get back to that. So thank you, and I hope you enjoyed it as much as we did.
Hey, Mama.
Thank you for being here with us.
Okay, how cute was that? Thanks for being here with us. Hit subscribe to get notified.
And hey, did you get anything out of this episode? I know I did. Show some love and send it to your mama friends to bless their day too.
And before you run and change that diaper, take 5 seconds and leave us a review saying how much you love us. You'll be helping other mamas find us. Did you know that? And hopefully find answers to the questions that are keeping them awake at night.
And if you screenshot your review and DM it to us, you will be entered to win a 1-hour coaching call at a discounted price with Amelisa.
I can't wait to chat with you. Come hang out with us in our Facebook group or on Instagram. Just click the links in the show notes. And you can direct message us anytime. We would love to chat with you.
We also have a Buy Me a Coffee option for a fun way that you can support this podcast for just as much as you care to give. Just click the show support link in our show notes. Thank you. See you next week.